Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my Daily Dose with Tim. Today is season 3, episode 3. And so, as mentioned yesterday in episode 2, we talked about having a goal. And I know it almost sounds a little silly when it comes to our path to financial success, because a lot of the times it's just much easier to measure it in dollars and cents, as we also mentioned as well. Now, the thing about it, though, is I think it's because, and after observing for the last almost 2 decades now, actually, not even just the last 2 decades, ever since I was growing up, I always kind of got the sense whenever people talked about acquiring real estate or having a real estate portfolio, it can become a bit of an ego-driven type of venture. And I do see that a lot more, having been a real estate investing trainer and a mentor in the industry for the last decade at this point almost. And really, I really just want to make sure that nobody is here for that reason. And honestly, I think if you are here for that reason, hear me out. And if this is not resonating with you, maybe this is not the right content for you. And I'm totally okay with that, because I'm simply sharing everything that I believe in and that I know has gotten me the financial abundance that I have achieved today, and the financial abundance and successes that I have helped others achieve using this template, using this formula and blueprint. And so first thing first, let's talk about goals. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of the times it really should be a money goal, because money is the most commonly used tools these days in order to trade for products, services on a daily basis. And that's why money was invented. And if you're actually curious about how money was invented, I'm just going to suggest that you go and YouTube a video called "How Was Money Invented?" And you're actually probably going to get a bunch of different results, and depends on how curious you are, you can go through all of them or simply just watch one or two of them. It gives you a better sense, because then I think the idea of money is just a tool will then sinking a lot more as well. And so again, in our world, as investors, we like to say that there is always a goal, and that goal can be short-term, can be long-term. And that's why when we go into looking at real estate investing strategies later, we're going to discuss short-term strategies and long-term strategies. And short-term, long-term strategies, a lot of the times, they all fall under what we call hard strategies. At the same time, though, there are soft strategies. No different than, let's say, at your regular work, you have hard skills and soft skills. For example, if you're a plumber today, well, then knowing how to fix a toilet, typically speaking, is a hard skill that you need to have. However, when it comes to soft skills, what would be those things? Perhaps it is communicating to the landlords, to the homeowners whose toilets you're fixing, the problems that are, the problems that they're experiencing and how you are going to fix it. A lot of times it's communication skills, it's interpersonal skills, so on and so forth. And so same thing when it comes to real estate investing strategies. And that's why we like to be very, very clear about hard strategies versus soft strategies. Now, I'm just going to still put this on the side of the board for you, and to let you know that ego is not something we want to feed into, okay? And this is why we always say that we invest to feed into our bank accounts and not our ego. I know it sounds almost silly and it's so basic, and that's just it. As I mentioned from the very first episode this season, is that I'm going to be weaving in and out between money mindsets, between strategies, between what's happening out in the marketplace, between maybe your life deals, past case studies, and really just strategy trainings this entire season. I actually have not put an end date to it, so this is just going to keep carrying on, because again, financial education is a lifelong pursuit. I'm still learning every single day, and this is why every single coach, trainer, and mentor at Trust Your Talent Academy are mandated. We're each mandated to be active investors, so that it is not something that we did 5-10 years ago and we achieved great results, and this is a fun retirement gig. No, because we want to share with you what we know, what we're continuing to learn as well. And because, as I mentioned before, investing really is not something that you kind of just set and forget. because circumstances will change. The market conditions will change. The world economies will change. One of my favorite books right now is called The Psychology of Money. So if you want to go and get a copy of that book, or if you're very much like me, Audible. Audiobooks are my best friends because that way I can actually listen to it and while I'm driving, when I'm doing chores, when I'm running errands, or when I'm just kind of taking a break from all the other things that I want to accomplish on a daily basis. And the other side of all of this is the fact that I'm just probably, because English is not my first language, I'm a bit of a slow reader, ironically. And so consuming the audiobook actually helps me a lot. But anyways, that's a bit of a tangent. Let's come back here. And so I want to share with you what educated and professional investors do, okay? So the goal, typically, what that translates into is the fact that you need to have a plan, because every single successful investor that I've ever come across, they have plans. They have plans. And this also goes back to one of the sayings that I've learned early in my earlier days through a mentor of mine is, those who fail to plan, plan to fail. Okay, I'm going to share that again. Those who failed to plan, plan to fail. And this is also why, again, in addition to offering real estate investing strategies and all these courses and content, we also have a lot of courses that most people tend to overlook. Things like business fundamentals. What does that mean? Business planning, business budgeting, how to network, because if you want to go out there and raise other people's money, you need to understand how to actually speak to people, and also raising funds for your business, learn how to negotiate, how to present and create win-win scenarios, in addition to just knowing what the clauses should be in a joint venture agreement. Does that make sense with everybody? And so this is why we continue to say that it is like learning a brand new language, 1 to 2 years minimum, so that you can start to make that shift. And typically speaking, between 2 to 5 years is where most people really see the solid results for themselves financially. And so when it comes to having a goal, the goal will create a plan for you. And I don't mean that in a Disney movies kind of way. A goal does not magically turn into a plan. And this is why so many of you may want to actually reach out to a strategy coach through Trust Your Talent Academy. If you like to, I'm not pushing anything here. I'm just sharing the resources that I have with you right now. It's the fact that you can actually engage in conversations with a strategy coach and let them do a quick diagnosis of your current situation and figure out where you want to go so that they can make that plan with you and for you. At the same time, though, what does having a plan mean? It actually means that within there you have action steps. And to boil it down, really is the fact that you're going to have strategies that'll back it up, because you need to have strategies so that you are, or I'm going to do this, IES, so that you are very clear at all times in terms of how to actually execute each and every single one of them that'll contribute to the plan that you've set out. So ultimately you can achieve the goal that you want to achieve. And so it doesn't matter what you're doing right now, even if you are flipping burgers at McDonald's at the moment. Do you think McDonald's as a company on an annual basis, or better yet, on a quarterly basis, weekly basis, have a monetary goal that they need to achieve and want to achieve in order for them to stay sustainable and keep you employed amongst tens of thousands of people around the globe? Absolutely. And that comes down to how they execute the plan by having clear strategies to support that plan. And the next step here is when it comes to real estate investing, I know a lot of people, they are always asking, where can I find deals? Where can I find deals? And I want to always make this very clear. And if I'm starting to sound like a broken record, that's good, because that means it's sinking in and you are memorizing and remembering what I have shared with you and taught you. Is the fact that let your strategies dictate the markets that you can and will go to that will support the strategies that you have chosen. So many people, they try so hard and crack their heads open wanting to invest in their own backyards. Again, I'm not saying that that is not good. At the same time, it all comes down to what your ultimate goal is. Over the last 10 years, almost 10 years, as you know, training and mentoring around the globe, I'm really noticing that most people that have some sort of financial discipline, they do fairly well, as I mentioned yesterday during the Wheel of Wealth. And let's come back here quickly. They typically have earned income, and if they're diligent enough, they would have equity or portfolio income because they've learned to be a bit frugal, put some money away. That's the way I was raised. And while I said that didn't get me ahead, it did somehow give me the discipline that I needed and the good sense to not waste money, to not waste my most valuable resources, or one of my most valuable resources, because really one of the most valuable resources, if not the most valuable resources that we all have, is time. Because time is one of those things that no matter how much money you make, you're not going to make it back at this point. Again, I don't know what science is going to come up with over the next little while here. Maybe time travel will happen at some point, but I digress. So let's not go there. So earned income can translate into portfolio income if you're diligent and you are disciplined about it. However, most people are lacking passive income. And this is why so many people are trapped in the rat race. They got to continue to hustle most of the times on things and jobs that they don't really truly enjoy just to pay the bills and maintain a bit of a lifestyle. However, we want to make sure that that mindset does not translate into this whole process. And so again, if you're coachable and if you're open-minded, you got to understand the fact that for the most part though, your markets need to be supporting the strategies, not the other way around, okay? So that after you choose the markets, you then start to look at, I guess I'm going to let the cat out of the bag right now. So properties. And again, properties, as you know, is real estate in this particular case. And funny enough, a lot of the times people tend to ask me, hang on a second, aren't we leveraging real estate as our vehicle to create wealth? Why is that the last thing we look at? So many amateur buyers, I don't really call them investors, no offense, and yes, offense at the same time. I don't even really think that they understand what this means, simply because of the fact that they so focus on learning, not how the numbers work, not how to set themselves up for success as an investor. They are wanting to learn how plumbing works, how electricity works, how zoning works. Those things will come depending on the SMP that you have chosen for yourself. For example, I knew nothing about multifamily investing until I started to go into multifamily investing, or as I call it, multi-unit residentials. There is a fundamental difference between multifamily and multi-unit residential, because definitions matter. I keep saying this, definitions matter. And so what this means is the fact that when I decided, because lease option was my baby strategy, when I decided to focus on another new strategy based on the goal that I've set out for myself, within the plan, I've chosen multifamily investing, or multi-unit residential in this particular case. And then when I chose the market, I have to do my market due diligence. And then I go into selecting the different properties. And obviously, age and conditions have a lot to do with how much and how little you learn about a specific property type. Okay, because today you can also say, I want to do an infill or a straight up development. So you buy a piece of raw land and then you have to go through the entire process to develop a multifamily. That would change the equation about what you have to learn and what you inevitably will learn about that particular asset type. Okay, and so why is this so important? Because of the fact that, again, amateur buyers, they focus on property first. And that should never, ever, ever be the case. Because if you think about it, having invested into different business ventures, as well as now learning how to invest in stocks, I've learned that actually this formula works across different asset classes. And that's why if you take out properties and replace it with stocks, with futures, with businesses, it actually also works because the vehicle is at the very end, okay? The vehicle is identified at the very end. And this is why I, a lot of the times, like to challenge my students. Why did you choose real estate as your main asset class? Or as we call it, real estate investing as your vehicle to generate multiple streams of income and long-term wealth with. And so with that said, though, I'm going to leave it here for today, and we're going to elaborate a lot more as the season progresses. With that said, I'm going to also share with you, once again, the Eventbrite link. And if you're in the Alberta, especially Edmonton, Calgary region, and you are looking to elevate your financial education, looking to start investing into real estate and also scaling up your portfolio right now, we are running a live workshop for 2 days next weekend, and that is the Victoria Day long weekend. So we have the class over Saturday and Sunday. You'll still have a Monday off so that you can bounce back a little bit. However, this is the thing. I know so many people are thinking, hang on a second, I may not have plans, but it's a long weekend. I so deserve this. And let me just ask you this, because I do remember when I embarked on this journey before, and this was back in beginning of 2010. I remember for a few years after that, I can recall birthdays, anniversaries, long weekends, even summer holidays, or even winter holidays, having to go to different classes. And back then, it wasn't even really online at all, like how we're doing this right now. Everything was live. I would have to drive, I would have to travel, I would have to get permission to take time off from work so that I can actually go and attend these things. And this is also why, learning from my experience, and we want to make sure that you are getting the knowledge that you need in person. It is a Saturday and Sunday course, not just a 1-day bootcamp anymore. We do have the 2-day bootcamp coming up online too in June. However, for May, you have the opportunity to actually go into a live training. It's going to be happening in Edmonton. So I'm going to be sharing the Eventbrite link once again in the comment section below so that you can actually check it out. Early bird pricing is still good till this Sunday. Starting Monday, it's going to go back to the original pricing. So early bird is only $199.99 for the first person. And we understand that a lot of the times you might want to embark on this training with a significant other, with maybe your siblings, with your cousins, with your coworkers, with your best friends, with your existing business partners, because you're looking for a different asset class to either invest into, to park your money, or whatever it is you want to do, or to transition into. So I welcome you and invite you to come and join us at the Edmonton workshop next weekend. So thank you so very much for spending a few minutes today with me once again. Today, I shared with you having a goal and a plan, and let that plan boil down to the educated investors process when it comes to real estate investing. And that is what we commonly know as SMP. And so make sure you join me back here tomorrow every single day during the week at noon Eastern time, 10 o'clock Mountain time, and 9 a.m. Pacific time. I will see you again right here tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody. Live well.